County Daily News. This is our third show. We are recording live from the Photography Web Design Studios and much more. So this week, as we go into some new stuff and a different platform, we'd like to keep you tuned in, so we'll be right back. Hi, welcome back. This is Betty Smith with the Review Preview Show. We are now in the review section of our show. And one thing I would like to bring back up, and I think of it as a little bit of a serious subject. In our preview last week, we talked about domestic violence, and we went into a lot of details and where folks could get help. But unfortunately, the events that happened after that, which was known to us, there was a local couple, Renee Roth and George Hotz, that, and I apologize if I said that name wrong, but unfortunately had taken their lives. And so condolences to the families, for one. And then second of all, to those of you that read the story and now it's out and there's things, events that's happened after that, I just want to retouch on the whole domestic violence just for a brief moment and say again, you can tune into last week's show. Again, there's a lot more details in the domestic violence part of that. But if you guys could just take a moment and find those resources, or if you see that it looks like people, there's a difference between people arguing and having a small argument versus it being domestic violence. There is a fine line there. And this goes into so many other subjects that we could talk about. But just taking that moment to look up those resources or getting the help that is needed and not be embarrassed by that help if you see the relationship going into a direction that you don't like or feel that it's into a situation that's going to come to that.
This is Domestic Violence Month. There are lots of resources available, but you're right. There's a fine line. Everybody argues, that's a part of it. I like to call it a debate,
Right?
We can have a spirited debate, but it doesn't have to lead into putting your hands on each other. So that is a terrible, terrible worst case scenario of domestic violence. But when we put the mug shots up twice a week, inevitably there's one or two domestic violence cases in those mug shots. So we just have to learn to control ourselves and not allow ourselves to get to that threshold to where we've reached out and put our hands on somebody. Absolutely, for sure.
And then just so I wrap up with that too, and this is something that I've seen in the past, and I know the law has taken their own means about it. And I'm just going to give a brief little example. And, we see the boyfriend and girlfriend get in a fight, and the girlfriend gets mad, and then she calls the cops because the boy or the boyfriend or girlfriend, whatever, they pushed each other, and then the law comes out, and they're trying to tell heads or tails of the story on who's right, who's wrong, and they end up arresting both people, file domestic violence on both people. 3 weeks later, they go to court. The other person's been forgiven or forgiven or whatever, and then they're like, oh, okay, let's all be friends again. And the law says, oh, no, it doesn't work that way. Get what I'm saying? So I want to put that out there to people that if that's a resort of calling the cops and saying, oh, we're in this fight, and then 3 weeks later, everybody's best friends again. Do you see where I'm going with that?
Absolutely. And I can share with you a story. They're, protection orders, okay? They're there for a reason. And I so happened to be in the courthouse one day when there were an exuberant amount of inmates coming through to go to court. And when I asked a friend of mine as a bailiff what was going on, they had just done a sweep of CPOs where people had, like you said, they'd forgiven each other, but on paper, they still had protection orders against each other. And there were, on a normal day, you might see 6 to 10 people. And on this day, they were out in the hall. There were a couple of dozen just in that situation where they had protection orders, and then they decided they are back in love, and they didn't tell anybody, and everybody got hauled in. So You know, it's one of those things where you really, if you're gonna call the police, which you are, that's a resource, and you should if you're being
Mm-hmm.
abused.
You feel
But
threatened.
see it through. Don't let emotions um, dictate that you're not going to follow through, because it clogs up the system, and it takes unnecessary time away from the prosecutors. If somebody puts hands on you, you file those charges, and by God, show up and go to court and take them to court and show them that you mean business, that you will not. I wrote a book called 40/40 Vision, 40 Truths that took me 40 years to learn. All right. And one of those truths is, now listen, this is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
We teach people how we want to be treated. Now think about that. We
Right.
teach people how we want to be treated. And if we let people get away with certain things, guess what? They're going to continue to do it.
Right.
So if somebody puts hands on you on Tuesday, and they say they love you on Wednesday, and then you piss them off on Friday, guess what? They're going to put hands on you again.
Right.
So this is a very serious situation, and I'm glad that this is Domestic Violence Month. There needs to be awareness raised. They've got a nice display down at the rotunda at the courthouse, but gosh, it's just terrible that we have this situation that's hit right here home, local home. That not only was it, somebody slapping somebody or something like that, two people died, and all
Right.
those people have family and they have friends and they have all kinds of local connections, and it's absolutely horrible and absolutely preventable.
Okay, so I would like to go into a new direction with another story that came out last week with the Star executive director that resigned. A lot of this I don't have a lot of details on, except for what I did read in the article, and where there were some inmates that were unguarded, and there were some other things that led to that, or some events that led to it after, that turned into a little more than just people resigning. And Mark, if you want to, I'm going to kind of toss that little bit of information to you first, and then and then I'll try to wrap up with that.
Okay, what we have were some whistleblowers, and the news. I don't care if it's Soda County Daily News or the New York Times or whoever. Everybody has sources to be able to get their news and their scoops. Okay, everybody has sources, and guess what? Sources are protected. It's called a whistleblower law. There are
Okay.
seven. There are 17 federal statutes of all different, from the EPA to from EPA to OSHA, that covers whistleblowers, and there is an Ohio Revised Code law that covers whistleblowers. So if something's going on in your workplace, you can tell somebody. And we were and continue to be a source where some whistleblowers are coming forward about and this is a safety thing. This is not a character smear at all. We don't do
Right.
we're not doing that. This is a safety issue. All right, the ratio of inmates to what they call RAs is not 50 unattended all by themselves. So this is an absolute safety issue, to where there's less guards than are required, and some other shenanigans going on with management, financials, misuse of credit cards, and all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot here, and we did some kind of peculiar news drops just to kind of disrupt the normal flow of things to get people's attention. And we know that it was crude and weird and strange, and we got a lot of comments and feedback. But that's how word spreads, and so we purposely did it that way to get the word out. And guess what? Change happened. Change
Right.
happened. So we had two directors transfer to a different county, and the executive director tendered his resignation, which is effective November the 28th, if memory serves me. So The problem is they're threatening legal action against the whistleblowers, which is hysterical to me as a law enforcement agency that they are threatening people when there's 18 laws protecting them.
Right.
I can't.
Well, hopefully, yeah, and hopefully they're wise enough to know that too, because it's hard for someone to come forward on something that they don't see as right and want to let someone know about it.
Absolutely. And this is all about workplace safety. This is all about the safety of the employees. Now, I told one of the sources, it's not about, oh, I want my job sucks. Everybody's job sucks. Okay. We're talking about safety. We're talking about
Yeah.
real personal safety. And this is why we took the story and ran with it and continue to do investigations. And there will be more to follow.
Well, when you got people that's being unattended, I mean, it kind of goes back to some of the other stories that we've seen in the news where people have gotten loose. How are they getting loose? I mean, something's not going right into the system for somebody to get loose or being, having to be recaptured, so to speak.
Right.
Uh, so I know that in the comments below, when you guys are making your comments, there will be a link that is it's a confidential link for you to go to, and you can click on that. So that way, if there's something that's going on or you feel that there's something that's not right, you can click on that link, and you'll be confidentially sent to a tip line that they can respond to you and hopefully get something going with that or some more resources or information to resolve whatever's going on in that workplace.
Even the babies are one of the most dangerous animals in the world, so I built this cage to keep them secure so there's no possible, oh my God.
Okay, so our last review from last week, just another story that had got brought up, and it was about the 62 government cars that were missing, and I know there's still some underlying events that are still happening to make this all hopefully be resolved soon, because you, the customers and the viewers, had even put your own vote in to get this looked at and to find out what happened to these cars. With that being said, Mark Craycraft, do you have anything to add to that?
There are 62 missing government cars.
Yeah.
There is an inventory that was submitted by the sheriff's department. Now, an inventory and a physical inspection are two different things. And we were able to acquire, through our investigative means, photographic evidence of these supposed 62 cars. And through those photographs, it is really hard to locate 62 cars.
Right.
Peculiarly, is that a word? How do you spell it?
Peculiarly? Yeah, I don't know.
There are some listings on the Facebook Marketplace for Scioto County Sheriff deputy cars. And people are trying to sell these cars, selling parts off these cars. And it's kind of strange. Where did they get these cars? I'm asking questions. I'm not making accusations. I'm asking,
Right.
where did these cars come from? How are you selling parts off of these cars? This was supposed to be a storage situation. And everybody agrees. I mean, people disagree on certain things, but everybody agrees that the titles to these 62 cars should not be just signed over to Michael Belford. With everybody agrees there has got to be a way to properly dispose of them, either through auction or taking bids somehow. So everybody agrees on that. But what
Mm-hmm.
our investigation shows is I don't think there's 62 cars. So
Right.
we are going to continue to beat that drum. We did have a petition that our subscribers signed, which is actually double. We turned in more signatures, twice as many signatures as it takes to apply to be on the ballot for city council. So that tells you something. Um, so we are moving forward. We posted the information that we have, but we have not let it go. We still have the tiger by the tail, and we are going to get some answers.
And I guess the only reason why, because I know our viewers are watching, and yes, we did target on a lot of Scioto County news from this last week, and I wanted to target on that because I know a lot of you are tuning in as well as people that are further out that were from here, and they're staying tuned into their community or where their family and friends are. But these 62 cars, I guess what I'm trying to get back is it's been going on for over a year. I had no idea this happened for over a year. And I guess that's where I was looking for like the little chain of events and how it came to this. And then obviously, like you said, there was some investigative reporting that's been done. Pictures have been taken. So now I guess I'm leaving it out there too. Hopefully there's a follow-up and accountability, right?
Well, right. So the issue has gone on longer than a year, but the questions began to rise about a year. But and I could go into more detail about it. The person that was in charge of holding those cars at no cost to the county was a special deputy, and God rest his soul, he passed away. So during that probate, if the new person that was responsible for that piece of property wanted to start charging a daily rate, which the special deputy was not charging a daily rate, then that should have taken place during the probate and a new contract entered into.
Right.
That never happened. The only time that the idea of charging storage retroactive back until through whenever the special deputy says you can just put them on my land is ridiculous and will not hold up in court, because there's been that is a threat of retaliation. That is extortion. Sign over these 62 titles, or we're going to retroactive it. That is quid pro quo. That is extortion. That's mafia. That's pay us this fee or your building might burn down. That is wrong on so many different levels. And so that's where the 1 year comes in. Whenever the person passed away and the probate went through, and we're trying to figure out if there's going to be an issue. We needed an inventory. So that's where the 1 year timeline started. And now it's continued until now. And we still don't have, we have a written inventory, but we do not have a physical inventory. And we are trying our best to get a physical inventory. Lay hands on 62 cars. And I bet you 24 donuts of your choice that they are not 62 cars.
Right. From the pictures I've seen, I couldn't see it either. So, but that's where I wanted to go with that story. I just wanted to kind of get some follow-up because, again, it was like an enlightenment for me to figure out or find out about. And then and then I've seen some of the comments too as well, and there were some good, some bad. And so just try to get some kind of closure there, I guess. Which there is no closure yet until they get this completely wrapped up.
Will be, and it will not take another year. I'll tell you that right now.
We'll see, right? We'll see.
Lady in red. Hello, madam. I want to give you some free cash. Free cash. £5 for you. No catch? Well, that was a reaction.
All right, guys, we're back with shout-outs. A couple things I want to say is thank you again for tuning in with Scioto County Daily News and This Week Review Preview Week stuff. If you want to have your shout-out put on here, contact myself or Mark Craycraft and the advertisers. Also, if you would like to see our show in your place of business where we can do a review preview show, again, contact Mark Craycraft and his advertisers so we can get into your location, just like we did Elks for the last 2 weeks. We're with photography, web design, and much more this week in their wedding venue. And then to go into the shout-outs with that, I would like to give a shout-out to Miranda and Steven Swartz for 1 year anniversary. Yay! I want to give a shout. I'm sorry.
That first year's a big one now.
It is, isn't it? 1 year down. Many more to go, right? And then I would like to give a shout out to Miriam Fitz, Valley High School, she goes to the middle school, but Just a shout out to her. She had a birthday this week, so we wanted to get her in there. And then while we're doing shout outs, I really want to give a hands off, or I guess a hats off to Valley High School for the first time in history, school history, that their band is going to competition for the state of Ohio. There was like 3 bands in the C section that were or also compared to that. So again, just a shout out that they're going to that competition, and shout out to the band at Valley High School. So again, if you want your school put on there, you let us know so we can get you up and on there. That's the little screen we have up right now where all the kids were having such an excitement at the football field at Northwest Friday night.
Did you say history? Did you say they, for the first time in history?
They said this is the first time in school history that they were chosen for the competition.
Wow, that's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, those kids were so happy. And I think that was Saturday night.
It is, it's amazing how much work goes into a marching band in that style, just to be able to create those designs and not run into each other with your trombone into somebody. So, very good. Congratulations to Valley, absolutely.
And if you want to see them marching, you guys can go back into our files for the River Days parade, and we have them a clip of them coming through the parade too. So you guys can go back and watch that Rivers Day parade and see them along with some of the other bands. Again, shout out to Southern Ohio, because the kids in our area are doing some amazing things and putting us on the map.
I would like to shout out Joey Sandlin, Remax Realtor. In our advertising world, we actually don't use the word advertiser. We use the word partner businesses, because we help each other grow. We give exposure to their business, and they help us with our business. And so an advertiser in our vernacular means you're just giving and we're just taking. And that is not what we believe in. So
Right.
we're helping your business grow, and then your advertising dollars actually goes to pay for reporters, productions like this, to make our page even better. And we don't have just the Facebook page. We've got the website. We've got the radio stream. We have 3 television stations, about to start the 4th television station. Surprise, surprise, surprise. So
Right.
we have our website that is getting revamped and retooled, and that'll launch by the end of the year. So we're reinvesting in the product that we are servicing the community. We're not putting any. We have for every dollar we've received in advertising, we've actually put back 3 into the company. So we believe in what we're doing, and the numbers speak for themselves. The people are coming along because they see our passion, and passion is what drives us. Passion for the community, passion for our town, and that's what we're doing. And we do
choose your Portsmouth.
right, choose your Portsmouth. Listen, I'm telling you, choose your Portsmouth. It's my hashtag, and I think I'm going to trademark it and put out some bumper stickers. But it needs to be our motto. Choose your Portsmouth. What's this town going to be? We have the power to from the ballot box to the front yards. Do you hear me now? From the ballot box to the front yards, you have a choice of what this town is and what this town will be. So with that, I also have a video shout out, and let's roll that tape.
All right. All right, guys, so we're back to go over a little bit of a preview of what's upcoming for the month. And one thing I'd like to talk about is also breast cancer awareness. They're going to have a breast cancer awareness walk on Hutchinson here in Scioto County in Portsmouth this weekend. And there's some details on the flyer below. So again, if you want to participate in that, that is on Hutchinson. And so let's get out there and walk for breast cancer awareness as well, because we know we've had someone or we know that has been affected by this. Then I would like to jump into The races this weekend. How exciting that we're going to have this race. It's the World Champions. It's going to be at the Portsmouth Raceway. I get the pleasure to have an interview this week with Carl Schwartz, the owner of the event that's going to be held at the Portsmouth Raceway. So I want you guys to also make sure you tune into that as well. So that way, again, we're going to share this on different formats. We're going to have this on Facebook. It's going to be on the website. There's a new network station coming up to where you can go back in and watch some of these shows. So these are some exciting things that's also contributing to things going on in Portsmouth. And then with that being said, another interview that I'm waiting to follow up with, still exciting, the third series of the Rest Haven Nursing Home with Kiva Jenkins, Debbie and Steve Akers, where they, the owners of the Rest Haven Nursing Home, they had the murals put all through for their residents. So I just wanted to follow up with that as well. So stay tuned for those two live shows that are going to come up this week before the weekend. Outside of that being said, one last thing outside of our area but still connected to us is that great and wonderful Circleville Pumpkin Show. And so if any of you guys have been tuned in or watching this so far, again, that Circleville Pumpkin Show is this weekend as well. So if you're going up there to get to one of them great big pumpkins or see what the state's biggest pumpkin is, that's where you're going to find out this weekend.
Let me tell you something. I have a great idea. I'm going to paint myself orange and enter the pumpkin contest.
Oh, Lord.
Hey, I might win.
You know, they should do Smash the Pumpkins. I don't know. Maybe they do. I don't know.
I don't know what kind of dirt they have up there in Circleville, but some of the winners of the pumpkins contest have to be brought in on trucks.
I know.
Crazy with these pumpkins. I don't know, man. I wish that they would have. We need to have something that we can actually eat more year round. I'd like to see a tomato competition or a bell pepper competition.
Right.
And then we can have,
the tomatoes. That's yeah.
Then we can have a salsa contest and who makes the best salsa. But the pumpkin thing is a huge thing. It's a hoot to go to. The Bob Evans Farm Festival was just last weekend. Fantastic group of people out there. If you've ever been, it was just last weekend. But the Pumpkin Festival is a big deal. The Apple Festival in Jackson, also fantastic. So, you know, I would like to have I think we should have somebody want to sponsor some orange paint, and I'll wear a little cap with a little thing on it, and I'll enter.
He said somebody sponsor him some paint.
Yeah.
Rally some up.
I'll sit real still. I'll sit real still. They won't know. They'll think I'm a pumpkin for sure.
Mark Craycraft, I want to thank you again for this opportunity, and hoping that, you know, each week we'll have a hot topic to talk about and then go into some of the fun stuff that's also happening as well.
Well, let me tell you, Betty, I can guarantee you one thing. Each week there will be a topic to discuss.
As the world goes around, right?
No lack of topics. But as far as the format, we're improving. We appreciate everybody tuning in. Yes, this is show number 3. We're trying a little bit different format, but it'll be available on our Facebook page Wednesdays at 11. It'll be on our website, and then it'll be on our TV stations, and we're going to have a TV station dedicated just to this show. So there'll be an archive. Yeah, that's right. Be the Betty Smith channel, and there'll be an archive. So anybody that wants to look at past shows will be able to do so on that streaming TV channel. So we really, really look forward to that. See, that's another thing that we are investing in to make a better product for the community. You have honored us with a subscription to our news, and we are honoring that by giving you a product that is to the best of our ability. And
Right.
so that's what we're here for. And Betty, I appreciate you and all your hard work, not only with the interviews, but with hosting this show and getting everything together. I've got the easy job. I just sit here and just talk off the top of my head. But you really do a lot of prep work. So you are definitely to be commended. If it's possible for somebody to pat Betty on the back, please do so.
They're like, oh God, shut her up. No. No, I do appreciate it, Mark. And so again, with all that being said, guys, you guys know the outlets. You know where to look at this. We'll share it as much as we can. Join your watch parties. I am excited about doing the interviews coming up in the next 2 days. And I'm actually ecstatic because, again, just pulling this stuff back into Portsmouth and choosing our Portsmouth, this is what I choose. I choose for all the exciting stuff to happen, even though I know there's some stuff we have to talk about that isn't always exciting. But at least we're getting it out there and getting people going in the right direction, hopefully making a difference, being a part of the solution, not a part of the problem.
Doggone right. Absolutely. Choose your Portsmouth. And thank you again, Betty.
God bless.